Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Prasatya Desha Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. That's it.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, chapter 29, explanation of devotional service by Kapila, text 32, translation purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Artagyat Samshaya Chetta
Artagyat Samshaya Chetta
Tatakshreyan Svakarma Krit
Tatakshreyan Svakarma Krit
Mukta Sangastato Bhuyam
Mukta Sangastato Bhuyam
Adogdha Dharmam Atmanaha
Adogha Dharmam Atmanaha
Artagyat Samshaya Chetta
Artagyat Samshaya Chitta
Tatakshreyan Svakarma Krit
Tatakshreyan Svakarma Krit
Mukta Sangastato Bhuyam
Mukta Sangastato Bhuyam
Adogdha Dharmam Atmanaha.
Adogha Dharmam Atmanaha
Artagyat, then one who knows the proper purpose of the Vedas.
The one who knows the purpose of the Vedas.
Samshaya, doubts. Chitta, one who cuts off.
One who cuts off.
Tata, than him. Shreyan, better. Swakarma, his prescribed duties. Krit, one who executes. Mukta Sangha, liberated from material association. Tata, than him. Bhuyan, better. Adogdha, not executing. Dharmam, devotional service. Atmanaha, for himself. Translation: better than a Brahmana who knows the purpose of the Vedas is he who can dissipate all doubts, and better than him is one who strictly follows the Brahminical principles. Better than him is one who is liberated from all material contamination, and better than him is a pure devotee who executes devotional service without expectation of reward. Purport: Artagya Brahmana refers to one who has made a thorough analytical study of the absolute truth and who knows that the absolute truth is realized in 3 different phases, namely Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. If someone not only has this knowledge but is able to clear all doubts if questioned about the absolute truth, he is considered better. Further, there may be a learned Brahmana Vaishnava who can explain clearly and eradicate all doubts, but if he does not follow the Vaishnava principles, then he is not situated on a higher level. One must be able to clear all doubts and simultaneously be situated in the Brahminical characteristics. Such a person who knows the purpose of the Vedic injunctions, who can employ the principles laid down in the Vedic literature, and who teaches his disciples in that way is called an acharya. The position of an acharya is that he executes devotional service with no desire for elevation to a higher position of life. The highest perfectional Brahmana is the Vaishnava. A Vaishnava who knows the science of the absolute truth, but is not able to preach such knowledge to others, is described as being in the lower stage, one who not only understands the principles of the science of God, but can also preach is in the second stage, and one who not only can preach, but who also sees everything in the absolute truth, and the absolute truth in everything is in the highest class of Vaishnavas. It is mentioned here that a Vaishnava is already a Brahmana. In fact, the highest stage of Brahminical perfection is reached when one becomes a Vaishnava. So, as we see, Kapila Deva is continuing with dividing even the devotees, or in this case first the Brahmanas, in different levels, different categories. They're not all the same. So we have different types of Brahmanas here. The first one, Artagya, he knows the purpose. And Sangshaya Cheta is one who can destroy doubts. If other person is doubtful, he can give good arguments so that the doubts are resolved. Then Shreya, better than that person, is Svakarma Krit, one who executes his prescribed duties. And then we have Mukta Sangha, somebody who was liberated from material contamination with three modes, Sangha. And then Bhuyan Tato Bhuyan, better even than such a person, is Adogda Dharma. He doesn't execute Dharma to gain some benefit for himself. Which Rupa Goswami explains as Anya Abhilashita Shunya, no other desire, especially Karma Jnana Anavritam. There's no desire to gain something on the level of Karma or Jnana. It's Anakulyena Krishna Anushilanam. One only wants to please Krishna by his execution of service, not for himself. And that is Bhakti Uttama. That's the highest stage. Okay, so we can continue with the next verse, which they go all together. Tasman mayar pita shesha kriyartatma nirantaraha mayar pitatmanak pungso mai sanyasta karmanaha na pashyami parang bhutam akartu sama darshanat. Kapila continues, he says, therefore I do not find a greater person than he who has no interest outside of mine, and who therefore engages and dedicates all his activities and all his life, everything, unto me without cessation. This is the Anyavilashita Shunyam. No other interest, just to serve and please Krishna. That's Uttama. Therefore he says there's nobody greater, that's the greatest. Well, that's the highest stage. Purport. In this verse, the word Samadarshana means that such a devotee, he has no longer any separate interest, anya abhilash, other desires. The devotee's interest and the Supreme Personality of Godhead's interest are one. So that's real oneness. Also Prabhupada speaks about that. Well, we are not saying there's no oneness, it's simultaneously one and different. So this type of oneness is desired. For example, Lord Chaitanya, in the role of a devotee, also preached the same philosophy. He preached that Krishna is the worshipful Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that the interest of his pure devotee is the same as his own, Krishna's own. Sometimes Mayavadi philosophers, due to a poor fund of knowledge, define the word samadarshana to mean that a devotee should see himself as one with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is foolishness. When one thinks himself one with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no question of serving him. When there is service, there must be a master. Three things must be present for there to be service: the master, the servant, and the service. Here it is clearly stated that he who has dedicated his life, all his activities, his mind and his soul, everything, for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, is considered to be the greatest person. The word akartu means without any sense of proprietorship. Everyone wants to act as the proprietor of his actions so that he can enjoy the result. A devotee, however, has no such desire. He acts because the personality of Godhead wants him to act in a particular way. He has no personal motive. When Lord Chaitanya preached Krishna consciousness, it was not with the purpose that people would call him Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rather, he preached that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and should be worshipped as such. A devotee who is a most confidential servant of the Lord never does anything for his personal account, but does everything for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. It is clearly stated, therefore, Mayi sanyasta karmanaha. The devotee works, but he works for the Supreme. It is also stated, Maya arpitatmanaha. He gives his mind unto me. These are the qualifications of a devotee who, according to this verse, is accepted as the highest of all human beings. Okay. Well, I'm going to take the next verse also, and then it changes a little bit. So, Manasaitani bhutani pranamad bahumanayan ishvaro jiva kalaya pravishto bhagavaniti. Such a perfect devotee offers respects to every living entity because he is under the firm conviction that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has entered the body of every living entity as the supersoul or controller. Purport. A perfect devotee, as described above, does not make the mistake of thinking that because the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Paramatma has entered into the body of every living entity has become the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is foolishness. Suppose a person enters into a room, that does not mean that the room has become that person. Similarly, that the Supreme Lord has entered into each of the 8,400,000 particular types of material bodies does not mean that each of these bodies has become the Supreme Lord. Because the Supreme Lord is present, however, a pure devotee accepts each body as the temple of the Lord, and since the devotee offers respect to such temples in full knowledge, he gives respect to every living entity in relationship with the Lord. Mayavadi philosophers wrongly think that because the Supreme Person has entered the body of a poor man, the Supreme Lord has become Daridra Narayana, a poor Narayana. These are all blasphemous statements of atheists and non-devotees. So Prabhupada again blasts the impersonalist philosophy. That's part of his mission, again and again, because it's very prominent, as we talked yesterday about the techno scene. Even in that, they don't know exactly, they're not philosophers, but the tendency is this idea that everybody becomes one, and actually you lose your identity. You have to translate, or you don't have to translate? So it's foolishness. Prabhupada, 2 times, the other Prabhupada also said, this is foolishness. Yes, it's Samadarsanat, to see equality. Like we had this verse from Bhagavad Gita, Vidya, what is it? Vidya Vinaya Sampane, Brahmanagavi Hashtini, that the Pandita Samadarshana, he has this equal vision, Samadarshana, it's the same thing here. That doesn't mean that they're all one and they're all the same. He sees that, yes, the Lord has entered as Paramatma and they're all spirit souls, but still he also understands their differences. And that was, we discussed this earlier, Prabhupada talked about it. There's 2 types of dealings, charity and friendly behavior, right? For like the dog, you give charity, you give him to eat, and give him some place where he's sheltered if it's raining, but you don't embrace and kiss the dog. Well, people do this, they do this. We saw the pictures, right? I put the picture. Yes, I did. Didn't I? I didn't? Anyway, I put it in the video, because then you can put inside. So they're kissing all kinds of animals. I put the picture of somebody kissing a hog, and the saliva is dribbling all over. Yes, I mean, So there's no limit. There's there was somebody in Africa kissing a camel. You can have a little snake, and the tongue comes out. I mean, why not? You love the snake loves you. So there's some exchange. But according to Kapila Deva and Srila Prabhupada's explanation, this is not the right way to act with this kind of living entity. You may be compassionate, charitable, but not, intimate, friendly behavior like that. So anyway, this Samadarshana, the equal vision, has to be understood properly. That's what is emphasized here. Yes, even that argument, very simple argument, that when one thinks himself one, actually this Mayavadi oneness with the Supreme, then there's no question of service. There's no question of relationship. It's only one. How can, as one, you're only yourself. Imagine, you're in the desert, and there's nobody else, not even an ant, not even a dog, so not even a camel. So it's only you. You are all. Everything is you. Then what are you going to do? You're going to be bored in 5 minutes. Nobody to talk to, nobody to kiss. Even you don't have a camel to kiss. You can try to kiss yourself. You can take a mirror. But that's obviously doesn't work really. It's an illusion. So when there's talk of service, then there must be, as Prabhupada says, 3 things at least. The person who serves, the person who is served, and the service, the activity. So this oneness does not mean there's only one. It means the interest is one. It's all and the interest actually is the interest of the Supreme. So the devotee dovetail himself or herself to the desire of Krishna. That's one can even say that's the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. In the beginning, there was a separate interest. Prabhupada uses that word, that the pure devotee doesn't have a separate interest. His interest is only to please the Lord. So in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, we have the situation that Arjuna has a separate interest. And Krishna's interest is different. So at the end, they come together. That Arjuna's interest becomes, or much better said, Krishna's interest becomes Arjuna's interest. Krishna wants him to fight, so at the end he agrees. Okay, I do whatever you say. So, therefore here in the purport, Prabhupada says that a devotee is the most confidential servant of the Lord, and he never does anything for his personal account, but does everything for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. So that's the definition of pure devotee. Or again, here it says this, that the devotee, he acts because the personality of Godhead wants him to act in a particular way. He has no personal motive. He becomes an instrument. Now, when we don't have perfect understanding, then this sounds not very attractive. It sounds like you become a slave. You don't do your own thing. You only do Krishna's thing. So, we don't like that. If in this world we have the situation that you are, maybe forced, like in the past, slaves, they were forced to act according to the will of the master. Or when there is war and one army conquers the other army, then the country becomes occupied and you lose your freedom, right? Here it was a little bit like that, right? Soviet Union had satellite states, all the Eastern Bloc countries, Bulgaria, Romania, Hungary, Czech, Yugoslavia, Poland, who else? Everything, Ukraine. Yeah, that's Yugoslavia. And then it became. Then, when they became liberated, then they became completely divided. Every single, they're independent. They have their own flag. They have their own language. So that's the tendency. So nobody wants to be under the order of somebody else. All the colonies, that's the history. At one point, the developed nations, especially England, France, Spain, they went all over the world and occupied other countries, and we called them their colony, right? And even practically until not long ago, there were some colonies still under the flag of another country, like Hong Kong, not long ago, finally, became a little independent. Now it's under China, so you never. But when the colonies, sometimes they started a rebellion to become independent. Violent war. Many people died, all for the sake of becoming independent, right? And in many, especially South America and other places also, you have the city square, the most important part is the Independence Square. And then sometimes it's the statue of the Liberator also there. So it's celebrated as having liberated the country from the oppression, the master. So, therefore, this idea that we just act according to Krishna's desire is not, as the immediate reaction is no. We don't want this. I want to be free. Many people have composed songs about freedom. I feel free. Very famous song. Or they eulogize the idea of feeling free like a bird. They think a bird is free and they can just fly anywhere. Even about borders, nobody will stop the bird. You know, why are you coming here? You have to pay some tax to come in. You know, if you go to Argentina and you're from America, you have to pay a reciprocative tax. Otherwise, you're not allowed to enter. Anyway, so we don't like this idea of having no independent desire, no motive, only to please Krishna. Sure. And then on top of that, Krishna is demanding you give up everything and surrender unto me only. Mam ekam sharanam, nobody else, just me, only me. Everybody should serve me. It sounds not very good. Huh? Very selfish, actually, this Krishna. He wants everybody to surrender to him. Just imagine, you know. He already has so many servants. And he wants to have you also as a servant. Like in America, right? They have this poster, Uncle Sam, he's pointing to you, you know, I want you to come into my army and die for me. Make America great again. Just die for it. So, anyway. So we don't like this. But actually, and that is explained, to act as Krishna's servant, to be Krishna's servant, that's our real self-interest. Natevidu svartagatim hi Vishnu. Prahlad Maharaj, he tells his father actually, that, you know, foolish, ignorant people, they don't know, and you are amongst them. He tells his father indirectly, you're in that category. You don't know that the real self-interest is Krishna, because we're part and parcel. And in that connection, always Prabhupada gives the example of the senses and the stomach, right? That the stomach, he is providing the whole body with energy when he gets food, right? And therefore it's the interest of the hand to put some food into the stomach. And all the other senses also, the legs, they go, they work, you work, your brain, everything. What is the ultimate goal? To put something into your stomach. Eating is the first necessity. Every day, at least once, maybe more than once, 2 times, 3 times. So then Prabhupada gives that from the scripture, this like the little stories. The story of the Indriya Udara, of the stomach and the senses. That at one day, one of the senses very intelligently was thinking that why are we working all the time for this stomach? You know, he doesn't do anything. He just sits there and eats. And we are working all day like slaves. Let's become independent. No more. We don't give one little thing to this stomach, rascal. Sinvergüenza. So, okay, everybody agreed. Yes, you're right. So they stopped. No more supply. Stomach is waiting. What's happening? They're all on strike, Okay. So one day passes, 2 days pass, and then one sense says to the other, "How do you feel today?" So the leg said, "I can't walk anymore, We're just going to stay here and we can't go anywhere. The hands, I can't lift." So everybody became weak. And so they thought about it and said, well, we'll see what happens if we give again to the stomach. And actually, when they started to put food, then suddenly everybody became enlivened and could continue their lives, right? So actually the self-interest is the service to the stomach. Yeah? You want to be strong and feel good, then you have to serve the stomach. There's no other way. What to do? Yeah, if you say, well, why do I have to put it in here? And I just put, in here. No, that Prabhupada also said, there's 9 holes in the body. Only 1 hole you have to put in the food. So, because we are so intelligent, we think, why does it have to go there? You telling me put it into the mouth. No, I put it into the nose, Or you can put it into the rectum. That's not the process. No, it's not. That's not the process. Sorry, it has to go through the mouth. You like it or you don't like it, So actually, we are servants of Krishna. So you like it or you don't like it. That's the situation. Because for some reason we are his parts and parcels. You may say, I haven't chosen to be part and parcel of Krishna. Why do I have to serve him? I don't want to. But that's your nature. What can you do? It's too late. Yes. So that's the lack of understanding that we don't have an independent existence. Yeah. Even when one gets children, one may think, I'm the cause, my wife and myself. We produced this child, right? But again, it's lack of knowledge. We know it's not just the combination of the material body, the secretion, the semina, the sperm, they get together, but unless there's a spirit soul, nothing will grow. We know that. People don't know that. They think it's a material combination, material elements, that's all. But also in this regard, simple example Prabhupada gives, that when the child is, now you become pregnant and the child grows in the womb, sometimes it happens, it actually dies within the womb, right? It stops growing. But then they have to take it out, by some, or even it's born and it comes out dead, or it's born and it dies after a few hours or some days, right? So that means it's not just the material or a combination of the material elements. There's something else which makes it grow or not grow. So when the spiritual spark is present, then the body develops and grows. If it's not present, it stays as a baby, dead baby. That's all. So that spiritual spark, that is a part and parcel of Krishna. You cannot create that. We can create a body. We have done it. We, as spirit souls, we enter into some womb. We get all the different materials supplied, earth, water, fire, air, in different forms. And then we make a body out of it, like you construct a house. You take sand and water and clay, bricks, and some metal or wood or whatever. Fire, you need fire to make the thing hard. And whatever you need. And then according to your mental state, you construct something. Whether it's a big skyscraper or a small hut. Well, it depends on your mental state and your means. Yes. So when you construct a body, it's basically the same. Depends on your mental state and your karma. If you had good karma, you can have a nice body. First class. Strong, beautiful. If it's bad karma, body is not so nice. Maybe some worm's body or one of those ugly frogs or whatever. So there's no independence. The spirit soul is eternally part and parcel of Krishna. Mamaivangsha jiva loka jiva bhuta sanatana. That you cannot change. And the constitutional, natural relationship is to be his servant. That you also cannot change. So therefore, when Krishna says Sarvadharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Raja, it's actually the interest of the soul to be in a perfect position. He knows that. We don't know that. We rebel. We say, I don't want this. But Krishna knows, this is your self-interest. Don't be a fool. Just surrender unto me and everything will be all right. So that's the choice we have. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Sri Gaurita Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Hare Krishna.